Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Reality Behind the Flight. I'm your host, FlyGuys COO DaCoda Bartels, and today I have a special guest, Scott Prather from LFT Fiber. Welcome, Scott.
How you doing, Dakota? I feel like kind of feel like an outsider in a way. You know, I don't work at FlyGuys per se, but I've worked with FlyGuys, who I love all of you over there. So I'm excited, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, right across the street, so hard to miss each other. For the people who may not know LFT Fiber and what you guys do exactly, it'd be great to maybe start with that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So we are the only municipally owned fiber optic company in the state. We were the third one in the nation. There were only 3 in the U.S. When it started. Lafayette voters voted to pass to allow it. There was some, I'll spare you all the details, but it was a bit of a challenge. But the voters spoke, and they wanted to own their own fiber optic network and fiber speeds, and that was over 20 years ago that the vote passed. And now there are over 400 around the country, but we are still the only one in the state of Louisiana. And so we're owned by the citizens of Lafayette. We are available throughout most of Lafayette Parish. The goal is to one day be available throughout. We also went into some expansion areas in and around Acadiana through some government grants, but we provide television, telephone, video services, and of course, internet services, and that's the big one, the fiber optic speeds, and a lot of internet customers, and obviously FlyGuys is one of them. So,
yes.
Yeah, we're owned by the people, for the people, and you probably see our name in a lot of things, whether it be sponsorships or community things, and really they're the ones that own it, right? The people own it. So we want them to feel empowered, not just when they use it, but just take some pride in it as well. It's like something that's locally owned, but also award-winning and world-class. A lot like FlyGuys. There's a lot of parallels for sure.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I remember when the fiber was coming to Lafayette, it was a big deal. Everybody was really excited. And I know at FlyGuys, we have some pretty serious internet needs and demands. So
sure. Yeah.
It's great having you guys right across the street. What exactly do you do? What's your role?
My role is public relations and marketing. I was initially hired as a public information specialist. The acronym was PIS. A lot of people made jokes, but that kind of, when Michael Swallow, our director, when he hired me, he was very upfront and said, look, the role says this on paper, but we want to use you a lot in the media. I worked in radio for 20 years. We want to use you a lot in the media, a lot of PR work. And since then, I moved around a little bit. Technically, my title is sales and marketing analyst inwardly. Outwardly, it's public relations manager, and I do a lot of PR work. But what I like about it is it's something different every day. Some of it is your typical marketing. We have a great marketing team. And other stuff is media events, media appearances, sponsorship opportunities, social media stuff with FlyGuys. The turf wars are not over. Don't think y'all got away with that.
We do have some questions about that.
So what I really like about it is that I don't want to say that every day is different, but every day is not the same. And so it makes things exciting and fun. And I love to just be out there.
And we're both, located right here downtown, right in the heart of things here. And how do you feel like being downtown and rooted right here locally has kind of shaped the way LFT Fiber thinks of innovation and just what's happening? I feel like there's a kind of a boom right now around different tech initiatives and just innovation in general. So you see it that way as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just being downtown across from you guys, as you said, but even if you're near downtown, there is something different about just being on Jefferson Street and walking. I like to walk a lot. I need a regular work. I walk all the way down the main part of Jefferson, right from the end of the street. We're right across from Jim Deggy's and you guys, all the way to the Johnson Street next to Keller's and back. And I don't know, man. I think seeing the local businesses, seeing people out on the street, whether it be on their phone or walking or just sitting back. Lafayette isn't a big city. It's not like it's a giant downtown, but you do see some of the commerce. You do see some of the businesses. And if we were all just working remote or if we were in a building in a suburb, it would have a bit of a different feel. And I work in a big open space in our building on the second floor. So from a creativity standpoint, I love to just like I said, walk up and down the street and kind of people watch in a way,
Yeah.
and observe. And then oftentimes I'll find some inspirations from it or something that kind of gets the creative juices flowing. If I'm just sitting in kind of a stale space for a while, my brain just kind of, I don't want to say it shuts off, but it just starts scrolling. Like, you know, when you're scrolling and you don't even remember what you're looking at. It's like somehow they got you and you kind of snap out of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think being downtown helps me avoid that, if that makes sense.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the people watching part too. It can get pretty interesting.
Yeah, I walked out on my balcony one day and saw you guys just throwing pies in each other's face.
Yeah.
It's like, I went in on that. We need to do that over here.
Man, that was.
I did it to someone and they weren't in on it, so it didn't go over well. You know?
I got to shout out one of our operations employees. He's a team leader, Bryce Abear. That was actually entirely his idea. He sort of threw the challenge out to the company to say, look, if we can hit our goals for this month, then I'll let you guys throw pies at me. And it kind of, I don't know if he was maybe joking in the beginning or I think he was just completely serious, but it just caught fire immediately. You know, it was a message that got put into Slack. And the next thing you know, every person from every different arm of the company is weighing in saying, oh yeah, I'm going to bring this, I'm going to bring that. And then we hit the goal, which was amazing, and we're standing out on the front of the office and just lobbing pies at Bryce, and it was wonderful, man. It was a great culture moment for the company, and just a fun thing to celebrate and win. So
sometimes just doing the simplest things that like kids do, and you bring it to the office. If employees and coworkers embrace it, it's always fun. But you never know it's going to catch fire or not, right?
Yeah.
You think you have this great idea, and then it's just kind of like, eh. And then other times something like, hey, pie to the face, and you guys, you know, everybody's in on it. Everybody's like, we got to do this.
Yep.
Love it.
That's absolutely true. Well, Scott, so you're the first non-FlyGuys employee that we've had on the podcast. This will be the 4th episode we film now. I'm curious, how do you prepare for a podcast? What do you do?
That's a great question. I used to work in radio, as I said, so I would do a lot of interviews, and during COVID, I did a ton of interviews because I worked in sports, there weren't games happening, but I liked it because people were just more open to talk. And so I found out quickly that people just, if you kept things light early, they were more willing to open up a little bit. And so I was like, you know what? I used to do this when I would prepare to give an interview. So let me do it now that I'm going to be interviewed. So I will go and watch like a blooper reel of some kind. You know, and now they're like easy to find. I mean, they're all kind of accounts on social media, but like a blooper reel from like a show of people trying so hard to hold it together. And then, you know, they're ad-libbing or they're going back and forth. I don't know. It helps lighten the mood for me. Because you know, this is fun. I'm glad to be here. I don't want to make a mockery of it, but I don't want to take it too serious either. So I feel like it sets the right tone. So anytime I'm preparing for an interview like this, that's not like a 20-second TV spot, I'll go watch a blooper reel right before I go in, because I dare anyone watching to like pull up Will Ferrell, Paul Rudd, whatever, pull up some old Step Brothers, whatever the movie is, even if it's like, sometimes, you know, during the DVD era, there'd be like serious movies, and then you go to the like menu of the bonus options and they would have a blooper reel, and it seemed ridiculous. And then you start watching, I don't know, I can't help it. Like, it's infectious. There's something about the church giggles when you're trying so hard not to laugh that makes it so much funnier. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I mean, aside from the obvious, you know, if somebody sends me questions, I do look them over and try to prepare a little bit. But yeah, that's what I do. What about you?
That's great. Honestly, I do something pretty similar.
Really?
Like, especially if even if I'm not preparing for a podcast or an interview, but I've just had back-to-back just long, tough meetings. Everything's real serious. We're working on this. We're trying to fix that. And you just need a mental break. I'll pull up. I'm a big fan of cinema and movies, so I'll, you know, pull something up and just get a 30-second giggle. And it just kind of levels you out so you can kind of get into the next thing.
Levity is a beautiful thing, man. And I think we need it in work. And, you know, at our office, I always try to get people to laugh when they're a little stressed. And then I found that now, anytime I'm stressed out, a number of people will try to do the same thing, which I'm good with. I'm like, hey, that's great. Let's do it for everybody that's around, you know?
Yeah.
And I've gotten better as I've gotten older about knowing when to do that. Obviously, there's some situations it's like, you know what, I'm just going to stay out of this one. But if someone's just having a rough day, it's like, do something to make them laugh. And it can be infectious and suddenly everybody's laughing. I don't know.
Yeah. Very good. No, I love that. I think that's helpful and necessary, and it just helps us all keep going. So, well, let's talk a little bit about the project that we worked on together. So the project is called Project LFT Hope. And I'm really curious from your perspective, like where that vision came from, or how did this idea even come to pass before we get into the technological detail of how it all happened?
We put on a Powered by Connectivity Summit. My boss put that responsibility on me. We just finished our second year back in March. We had it in Vermilionville. It was a great setup. And we bring in people from various industries and how technology impacts their industry. So you might have a session that has people from the hospital system or doctors talking about the evolving technology in the world of medicine. We might have a table of marketers. We might have a table of business leaders, and the track will be called Overcoming No, and it's about how technology has helped them start their startups and grow. And we had a lot of panels. Whitney Sabwa from FlyGuys was on one of them. And being across from FlyGuys, we wanted to do something with y'all that could help elevate both you and the summit and just kind of a win across the board. And one of the reasons I wanted it at Vermilionville is we have people that come from out of town to the summit, whether they be a speaker or whether they just be somebody attending it. And I didn't want it to feel like just another conference in a hotel ballroom. So Vermilionville, it was a bit of a heavier lift. It didn't like have everything just right on site that you might have at another conference, but it was a way to show off our culture and just be a little bit more memorable for anybody that was coming from out of town and in town for that matter. And the fact that it's a historic living museum, my coworker, Dustin Arsenault, our sales and marketing manager, he came up with the idea. So I give him full credit. He said, FlyGuys, they've got the technology to do 3D immersive, I don't know if the word's recreate. It's not recreating anything. It's already there, but I'm not as good with the FlyGuys language as you guys, but just an immersive experience, right? So he knew that you guys could go into a place like this studio, right? You had the equipment necessary, whether it be, everyone thinks drones, but you guys do a lot, right, with the cameras, and walk around, and you could have that on a landing site. And so, essentially, if you wanted to see parts of Vermilionville, like the forge or the blacksmith shop or the chapel, but you're not from here, or maybe you're disabled and you literally can't do it, you could go there and go to this website and get to walk around digitally all across Vermilionville and see parts of it. And, we didn't want to ask y'all to do this grand project where it was just not possible, where every single detail was almost kind of like a taste of what's possible, right?
Sure.
And the inspiration for that, and he wouldn't mind me saying, and he said this on video, he and Stacy Bello from FlyGuys and someone from Vermilionville as well, Brady, they all did a short video, a short doc, which if you go to hope.lftfiber.com, you can watch it. Dustin's mother passed away, and she was suffering from brain cancer before she passed, and she had always wanted to see Niagara Falls. So her and her husband began the journey to Niagara Falls, but she grew ill and they weren't able to make it. So they turned around and they came back to Lafayette. And Dustin was able to find this 3D immersive technology where you could go, put on the goggles, right, and go to Niagara Falls and experience it. Is it the same thing as being there? Not exactly, obviously, but is it different than reading about it in a textbook or seeing a picture, right? That meant so much to her, and I know it meant a lot to their family, that she was able to, in a way, experience that. And that was the motivation for him, right? And then from there, the idea grew into, hey, for Vermilionville, right, let's share some of this history, right? A lot of folks, I think, are threatened by technology and what it could mean to their culture, right? You see that. I feel just the opposite. I feel like technology is the key to preserving culture, particularly our culture here in South Louisiana. I know there's a program at UL that some are working on. It's not out yet, but for AI to be able to translate all of Cajun French, which has been passed down for generations, person to person, which is a wonderful thing. But at some point, what's that going to look like in 100 years, 200 years? How many of those people? Well, if you're able to save that through an AI program and you're able to translate it, now it can live forever, right? And so for Vermilionville or a trip to Niagara Falls or a trip anywhere, for students in a classroom to be able to take a field trip, and you know what? They can't afford to go from Nebraska to Niagara Falls. Just thinking of those possibilities and wanting to preserve our own culture, I know that's a long-winded answer. I tend to ramble, I'm sorry. But that was kind of the motivation behind it. And it came out great. I mean, FlyGuys, they, through the goodness of their heart, worked so hard on this thing and got out. And Vermilionville being next to an airport, you needed to get waivers to fly drones, and suddenly they finally had a waiver, but it was last minute, and then they would call Vermilionville and they'd let them in, and it was late. So it was all these moving parts, but it took everybody kind of working together to make it happen. And we were able to show it off at the summit. And I think the reaction from the crowd was great, and it really led to a discussion from a number of subject matter experts from different fields: music, education, tourism, and then Whitney, of course, in marketing, and FlyGuys. And they were talking about how technology is the key, really, to preserving futures. So it served a number of things, and it's something that I think you guys should be proud of, and I know we're certainly proud to be a part of it at LFT Fiber.
Yeah, definitely. We are as well. It's a unique project for sure. I mean, what we did there essentially is created a digital twin, is oftentimes the phrase that we use.
I couldn't remember it. It was right there on the tip of my tongue.
It's something that we do pretty commonly, at an industrial site or a construction site. It's helpful in a lot of cases where, you've got a customer that's maybe in one city, but the project's being built states away or countries away, time zones away. We're able to almost be in two places at once, whether you're experiencing it through a virtual reality VR headset or on a desktop computer, a phone even. But this project, I think, was so special and unique to just be able to share something that's such a special part of our culture. And for the folks that aren't familiar, Vermilionville is right next to some controlled airspace at our regional airport here in Lafayette. But it's an immersive cultural center where, and maybe you can speak to it a little bit better than I can. I've been there several times. I love their Black Pot Festival in October. That's my favorite. But it's a really neat, unique area where a lot of the culture is preserved, and you can even see people living it out as it was back so many years ago.
Yeah, you've got folks that are dressed up in the attire of people from certain times in history and your old traditional prairie lifestyle, Cajun lifestyle. Maybe it's a Piro, maybe it's an old chapel, the blacksmith, right? The forge, Native American culture. You're able to experience that. And so you do get a good bit of tourists that go there. And Vermilionville is just one of those places I always feel like, man, it's right here in our backyard, and we take it for granted. I don't want to say we forget about it, but we take it for granted sometimes. And I had to go out there so much with the summit that I was like, I really love this place, man. It's such a part of our culture, and the restaurant there is it's pretty good. Yeah, I might have put on a couple of pounds leading up to the summit, because anytime we had to go out there, we're like, why don't we go out, around 11 or 12 or something like that. Maybe we'll just make a lunch out of it. But it's a great place, and I think again, a key part to preserving our culture down here in South Louisiana.
Yeah. It's definitely a special place. And on the tech side, for those who are curious, because I like to bring it up, some of the equipment that we used on that one would be the NavVis system, that's sort of the chest-mounted scanner rig. And then I believe the M3E, Mavic 3 Enterprise was another one that was used. Mostly a terrestrial project, though, as far as the data capture goes. And then, of course, that all has to get stitched together. But maybe for some who aren't entirely familiar, this is a series of capturing all kinds of what we call reality data. And multiple angles, multiple shots, multiple scans, all has to be captured, compiled, really run through and QA'd and then run through a software engine so that you can display it so that it's simple for somebody to view it in a VR headset or something where, what's neat about those VR headsets is you can physically just kind of move your head and then you feel like you're there and kind of experiencing it. You can walk through a facility and it's the next best thing to physically being there, in person. And it was just really neat for us, I think, to be part of a project that was, had so much historical and art behind it. And, it wasn't just a commercial project.
And I love that it's so unique to us down here. There's no other place where you would have a municipally owned telecommunications fiber optic company, a national world-class award-winning company like FlyGuys that does everything that you guys do. And then a historical living museum, all in the same place. Only a few, well, we're right across the street, but if you got all three of us, only a few miles away from each other, like all right here in our backyard, right? You couldn't do a project like that somewhere else where every aspect of it is local right there, and owned, the citizens take ownership in that. I think it shows off Lafayette as much as it shows off FlyGuys LFT Fiber in Vermilionville. And that's another reason why I'm just so proud of it. It's just an appetizer, right? I mean, there's a buffet that's just right around the corner. And anybody that, is hearing DaCoda talk about it, I think if you're interested in a digital twin, it's not just work sites, like you said. And obviously, you guys do plenty of that, but it can be something like a historical site or something that you want to preserve with a digital twin. That's available. I mean, that you don't have to, go to Google or ask ChatGPT or anything like that. It's right here in your backyard. It's right here in Lafayette.
Had you ever experienced a digital twin before or really played with VR too much? Or what did it feel like for you getting to experience the final deliverable in this?
It brought me back a little bit. I mean, I think the first time I ever did VR was at Aladdin's Castle in the 90s at a birthday party at the Acadiana Mall.
I remember Aladdin's Castle.
And I remember, the kids would put them on and I'm watching them and they're, firing these fake guns, and I remember when I got in there, all I wanted to do is turn around. I just, because the game was trying to make you move forward. I just wanted to turn around. Because I was like, can't you just... Yeah. So I turned around and then there were some little, you'd call them Easter eggs in the gaming community. Like, oh, you shoot this, you get extra points or whatever. But that was all I wanted to do. And I hadn't really done much VR as an adult. And so for me, it was just I want to walk into the chapel. I want to walk into the blacksmith shop. I want to see the flame. I want to be able to turn my head around. I want to be able to do a 360. I don't want to just walk straight, right? Because when you're at Vermilionville, you're not just, you're not walking like this, right? You're looking around, you're taking everything in. And I don't know if that sounds cheesy, but it brought me back to when I was a kid. And obviously the technology's not all that great in the 90s. It wasn't like the graphics were real life back then. But it was great. And it just brought me back to why we did it. Because when Dustin, who I mentioned him earlier, brought up the idea, I was just like, yeah, sure. I didn't know what he was talking about, to be honest. I mean, he's so much more tech savvy. You are as well. You guys are FlyGuys. I'm more kind of on the creative marketing side, but the in the weeds technology and all the terms, I was like, I'm not really sure what you're talking about, but I trust you. I think it's going to be great. And then we met with Stacy from FlyGuys. And then once it kind of started to come together, at some point it clicked for me of what it could be. And all those things were just kind of running in my head when I was going through it. But and also what I said earlier, I was thinking to myself, only in Lafayette could you do something like this where it's all these wonderful local people just coming together.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite parts of it too. Two local companies coming together, and what does that mean for you guys? That local collaboration,
and we're all about it. I mean, we don't just say it. I mean, a lot of times people will say, man, I have a bumper sticker on my vehicle that says buy local, right? Or support local. And I fully embrace that. But I think there's another layer to it that often can get dismissed or not thought of. And that is, don't just get it because it's local. Also get it because it's amazing, right? Don't just, if you need some drone work, if you need a digital twin, if you need one of the many services that FlyGuys provides, don't just do it because they're local. I mean, that's like an awesome bonus, but do it because you guys are one of the best to do it in the world. I mean, LFT Fiber, independent studies, not us, right? ISN's rankings, annual rankings of best internet speeds, right? Mid-sized markets, the fastest speeds. LFT Fiber was listed, and before we changed our name, LUS Fiber, our previous name, it was on these lists every single year. We weren't just saying it. And so, for us local, it's not just about doing it because it's local. Do it because one, you're supporting your own city and it's all coming right back to you. But two, do it because it's superior, And oftentimes I think a consumer can think, well, it's not from here, but I see the price tag and I see this, so it must be better. It must, we're not as techy as the Silicon Valley, so I might go try to outsource some work there. You've got some great, I think Lafayette is in terms of places in the state of Louisiana from a tech standpoint is a leader. FlyGuys is a big reason why. LFT Fiber is a big reason why. Vermilionville's not a big reason why it's a tech leader, but it's a wonderful place. But for me, local, it's always support local, but not just because it's local. Do it because it's better than the competitors as well.
Yeah, and I love what you said earlier about, some people are fearful of technology and kind of preserving history, but I think the opposite is true. Like you mentioned, I think technology is a critical part of preserving, not just physical places, but the actual stories behind the places. And that's just so important right now. How we're preserving those stories through digital twins or immersive experiences, I think that's just a really, really important thing. And us being able to do that together was just really neat.
And I think of the music here locally. Think of something as simple as streaming, right? How are you able to share, Cajun music, Zydeco music with the world? Well, it used to be local, and then you'd have to go on long tours. And I remember, musicians back in the 90s that, early stages of internet here, certainly. Streaming wasn't a thing, but I knew some that lived in Opelousas and plays on some Zydeco musicians. And it's like, yeah, we're about to, get in a van and we're going to travel up the East Coast, and they're going to play in Philadelphia and New Jersey. And then they were going to go to Detroit. And he had never gone to any of these places, and he was a little nervous. And I just remember, I think it was in high school, and I was like, man, like that. I guess I never thought of that. I would just think of music tours as like the big concerts, go to Lakefront Arena and see Rage Against the Machine or something. But that's on the radio, right? Zydeco Cajun music, it wasn't coming on the radio in these other places. So just technology, something as simple as streaming, or KRBS Streaming Festival, or you get people around the world that are now more interested in it. And so again, the idea that technology is a threat to your culture, if you use it the right way, it's the exact opposite. It is what's going to preserve it. I think fighting technology and trying to run away from it is how you could kill your culture if you insulate it so much. We have a beautiful culture here. Share it with the world. We're proud, again, just proud to be part of it.
Yeah. What would you hope for future generations in Project LFT Hope, and really what happened there? What would you really hope for the next generation and their experience with that?
I would hope that it gets even better and better and better, right? I talked about being at Aladdin's Castle as a kid, and all I hear about was virtual reality. And then I do it as an adult, and it's much more immersive. It's much more educational. It's much more hyper local, right, for people here. But then to share it with the world. So I think as the technology improves, and we're constantly at LFT Fiber upgrading our system, maintenance upgrades. We got one tonight. I just sent out an email to customers. Hey, if you're trying to be online between 1 a.m. and 1:30, it might be a little spotty. But the point is, we're constantly upgrading it. I know at FlyGuys, you guys are on top of, technology, and y'all are always cutting edge, right? The next thing. And so I think for the next generation, something like Project LFT Hope is going to be even more immersive. I think it's something that we can't even really wrap our minds around what it might look like. What we thought virtual reality would be in the year 2026, 30 years ago is a lot different than what it is. And so for the next generation, whatever it is, my hope is that a large part of it is focused on something like this. A large part of it is on the educational side, on the historical side, that a classroom anywhere, in any neighborhood, of any background, public, private, that kids can really have an immersive experience in a real way, and not in an entertainment value only. This other part of it's really not important. And of course, entertainment will be the driving force between so much of these technological advances in the future. But for something like this, I think education needs to be such a big part of it. So that's my hope for the next generation, that a class in Las Vegas, Nevada can go hang out over Millionville for a day or for an hour in their classroom, and that it doesn't feel cheap, that it makes them say, gosh, I want to go see this. I want to go see the real version of this.
Yeah.
It's not a replacement for the real thing. It's just a way to showcase it.
Maybe the next best thing.
Yeah, and hopefully bring people here to see it in person.
Yeah. Do you feel like that collaboration, this project between us, really could almost serve as a blueprint to preserve other cultures and communities around the world?
100%. I think when communities come together for a positive project like this, it shows you that you can pretty much do anything. I think when you work in collaboration, look, we could have easily gone to FlyGuys and said, hey, we don't really have much of a budget, if at all, but hey, could you do this for us? Y'all could have been like, we don't have time for this, respectfully, guys, we just, no thank you, but you didn't, right? You saw the vision. You saw what we were going for. You saw the positive side of what it could mean for you guys from a PR standpoint, but also just because preserving culture is a good thing to do. So I think for future generations, and I think for anybody that's interested in doing it, I'd reach out to FlyGuys and just get an idea, because what you see on the website and the digital twin, it's just a taste of. I mean, you guys can do so much more, and I'm not trying to undersell it, but you guys can do so much more than that, and do so much more than that. It just gets me kind of fired up, man. I'm excited, right? Mm-hmm. Collaborate, right? Find other creative people in your community and come together and say, hey, we can do this, you can do that, and we can create this thing. And don't get so bogged down in all of the, well, we could potentially do this, We got turf wars going on with you guys right now.
Yeah, we need to cover a little ground there too, because last we checked, we had a tic-tac-toe game going on one of our front windows.
Yeah.
Someone from our team would make a move, and then somebody from y'all's team would run across the street.
That's right.
We were, I think, taking a pretty significant lead, and all of a sudden, the entire board got erased. And we do have some suspicions as to who might have erased it. Maybe you could fill in the blanks for us there, Scott.
I think I'll go ahead and fill them in, because I was about to fill in the winning blank. We were about to win, and I went out to respond to Steve and that old crew over there with the winning combo, and it was gone. It was gone. And somebody from FlyGuys, I'm not going to name them who, might have said, hey, sorry, someone erased it all, and it wasn't us.
Okay.
It wasn't me. All right, I'm not scared, or as they would say, ain't scared, or whatever the phrase is. That's not me. All right. So if you think this is done, this is not done. I don't. You can try to skate out of it, but I need to create a game that you can't just erase with a little bit of water and a little bit of soap. You can't say, oh, sorry, we had a contest. We were putting pies in managers' faces, and then we just had to clean the street, and all the tic-tac-toe stuff on the window somehow got erased. No. So you can point blame all you want,
but the heat is still on. The game is coming back.
It's I don't know if it's tic-tac-toe, but I'm not going to tell you. Come on, I don't need to give you guys a heads up. Just know that at some point the turf wars will continue.
Very nice. Well, I know our team welcomes the challenge. So. Give me one of your favorite downtown Lafayette lunch spots.
There's so many, dude.
I know, it's hard.
That's the other thing. We talked about being downtown. I didn't mention it earlier. I didn't mention walking by restaurants and stuff.
It's almost lunchtime now, so this is going to get my...
Shoot. Yeah, and I've got
belly rumbling.
I've got some, microwave dinner at work, low calorie, low fat. But after we talk about this, there's no chance that I'm going to eat that today. I'm going to go pick up some. I'll go with Pops, Colin Cormier, who is such a good chef, man. I've known Colin a long time. We were he's a year younger than me, but we were in like elementary school together, and huge Saints fan. This is pre-Drew Brees and everything else, and I grew up on the Saints. So we always kind of had a connection. If you notice, a lot of the restaurants he owns, they'll hand out like a Saints card as like your number, you'll be number 12. And I don't know if you eat at those restaurants, but Pops is so good, man. And
I love their new little docks extension next door.
Yeah.
We have a group of guys that every single morning will walk down there and get the breakfast.
Y'all are the ones taking them off.
Yeah, probably half a dozen of them at least every day get wiped out by.
I go in there to get the breakfast taco, burrito, whatever you want to call it. I know the one, the like green salsa sauce that you can get with it, or just a Louisiana hot sauce. Did put a little bit.
Yeah.
See, now look what you did. Now I got to get out of here. I need to go eat. Yeah, Doc's is tremendous. But gosh, I could literally I can't name a spot downtown that I don't like to eat at, and that's a beautiful thing.
I feel like that's a unique thing about our community here is there's kind of that 1 year benchmark. Because if you're not a very good restaurant, you just won't last.
That's
here.
right.
The competition's too fierce. So if it's been around long enough, it must be good. Otherwise,
what's your favorite spot downtown?
I don't know. As I'm asking you the question, I'm like, how's he going to even answer this? Because there's too many good choices. Just kind of depends on the day. I always forget who is closed on Mondays or Tuesdays. Like every time I want to go to Flats, they're closed on the day I'm going or something. So I always have a difficult time remembering who's open or closed. But man, if I'm really hungry, I'll love to go to Dwyer's or Tons, get me a plate lunch. Probably what I have to do today because now I'm getting super hungry. I don't know, man. There's so many good ones. Like you said, you kind of can't go wrong.
Maybe we need to bring a restaurant into the turf wars. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Maybe that was your plan all along. That's why you don't want to like single anyone out.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you, let me phrase it this way. How would you welcome somebody to Acadiana? Somebody's coming in from out of town and you're going to go take them to Vermilionville, but first you got to take them to lunch. Where are you going?
I would probably take them to Vermilionville and then eat lunch at Vermilionville. That's probably what I'd do.
Yeah.
And we did, like when I was young and my family, my mom's side they're from other parts of the country. This was back in the 90s. Anytime they would come to town, we would take them to Vermilionville. It was one of the memories that kind of came back to me when I started doing some work with them. But I think it's a great spot to take someone, and then, you can't go wrong with some of the local food spots. Go see some live music.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds, typical and cliche, but it's typical and cliche for a reason, right? Yeah. We have amazing food, amazing culture, amazing live music. That's kind of I know we got the Cajun Trinity on the cooking side. I feel like that's the Cajun Trinity of like, how do you take someone from out of town and show them Acadiana? That's it. And whether it's in Lafayette or any of the surrounding areas, I think it's live music, delicious food, maybe a trip to Vermilionville. And then just hang out, go grab a drink, walk downtown, maybe get involved in a turf war or two. Not a real turf war, for the record. I don't want anyone getting crazy ideas. I shouldn't say not a real turf war. It's very real. Not a dangerous turf war.
Not yet.
We kind of, yeah, y'all gonna be spying on me with some drones? Y'all do have a lot. Y'all do have a lot at your disposal that you can use, but yeah, I'm not giving up.
Okay, I still have one more question about Project LFT Hope. If it proves one thing about Acadiana, what would you say that is?
If it proves one thing about Acadiana, what would I say that it is? One thing. So you're looking for, I ramble so much, as you know, so this podcast is going to be so long. My apologies. I think the two words that come to me are community and collaboration. I think we hit on it earlier, right? When we collaborate as a community, the sky's the limit. Yeah. And I think that speaks true for local government, local business, schools, right? The parks, all the sports leagues, all of it. I know that it can be tempting at times, or it's difficult at times to come together on projects, and you're never going to have everyone all on the same page. But I'm of the mindset that just start something, and it may not turn into the exact thing that you thought it would be, but just that you can get so caught up in all the reasons why not to do something. But if you have one good reason to collaborate, just start it and then see where it goes, man. Because I think that's when the creativity really comes out, and the community. And then, you don't just work with your community, you create a bigger community for yourself. LFT Fiber and FlyGuys and the people I've gotten to know at FlyGuys, I wouldn't have known them if we hadn't have done something like this. And I'm sure they'd say the same thing. So it helps you. It's like people that volunteer at festival, they all say the same thing. I was able to become a member of a new community. I was able to make some real, genuine friendships that I wouldn't have otherwise. And that comes from somebody just wanting to experience the culture and be a good citizen and do a good thing. Mm-hmm. And I think community and collaboration, when we do those things, the sky's the limit for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, from everybody at FlyGuys, we appreciate the collaboration, the innovation, the partnership, and really the friendship with you guys. Yeah. So thank you very much, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Dakota. And my last message is to anybody watching, just don't take FlyGuys for granted. What an amazing business, what an amazing company to have right here in our backyard. And that's not lost on me. Don't take Vermilionville for granted, right? Don't take LFT Fiber for granted. But FlyGuys in particular, before I started working at LFT Fiber, I admittedly didn't know much about FlyGuys. I saw the building, I saw the logo, but as soon as I started there, some of my coworkers were telling me about it, and I was like, "That's here? Really?" Mm-hmm. And then seeing all that you guys do, I don't want to say it blows my mind, because it doesn't. I'm not surprised when something like that comes out of Lafayette, but I'm just as impressed. So impressed, but not surprised. So shout out to you guys and all that you are doing. And I speak for myself, but I think a lot of the Lafayette community when I say we're just really glad you guys are here.
I appreciate that, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind words.
You got it.
Yeah. Come visit us. Come see us here in downtown Lafayette. Come have lunch with Scott and I. And thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of Reality Behind the Flight. We'll see you next time.